today I'll be coding something like a breathing cube. So let's get started. So we have a cube element, and well, first off, the faces are square, and the number of faces of a polygon with 4 edges, regular one, square, whatever you want to call it, is 4. So we start with that, and here we loop. So for I starting from 0 all the way up to, and the thing is, a cube has the 4 lateral faces, a front and a back one, but we're not going to see the back, so we don't care about that one. So just 5 of them. Okay, and now that I've done this, okay, now I have a cube face. And here I'm going to have a style, and this style is only going to be set for the lateral faces. So if I is strictly smaller than the number of edges, vertices of a polygon with 4 edges, vertices, just for the lateral ones, I'm going to have an index, and this is the loop index I. Otherwise it's null. So let's see what we have so far. Okay, this looks good. Now the next thing I'm going to want to do is within these cube faces. So for the even indices, so if, okay, I can't. So for the even indices, I'm going to have a number of slices. So let's say that this number of slices is, I don't know, 15. Seems good. So here again we have a loop for j starting from 0, going all the way up to the number of slices, j. This is j as well. Okay. So this looks good. Here I have slice, and something else I want to do, because I don't want to set these for every face. I don't want to keep resetting this stuff. I'm going to have a style element, and here again I'm going to have a loop, exactly like I have the one here. And here within this loop, I have slice, nth child, sorry, that's j plus 1. And here I set this custom property j as being, well, just j. So this should work. Let's see. Okay, this looks good. And I have, for this one, for the first one, for the second one, I don't have slices. Third one has slices. Fourth one doesn't have slices. Okay, and the last one shouldn't have slices either. So it's also I smaller. So last one shouldn't have slices either. Let's see that. Okay, so yeah, last one doesn't have slices either. That's good. So this is it for my structure. Now let's move on to the styling. And here I'm going to have an edge length, and let's say it depends on the viewport. So now I set cube face, and now for the faces that have a style attribute and are even, nth child to n, I set a width equal to that dimension, the height equal to that same dimension, and just set the background so that I can see them. Okay, this is starting to look like something. Now something else I want to do here, and I want to set a transform, and this is a custom property, rotation, and the default for this is rotate x and here I have a calc. Okay, this is I, the custom property I, times 90 degrees. Okay, so this should do it, but something else. Now for the body, I want to set margin 0, height, make it full height. Okay, let's also set overflow hidden. A perspective, let's say, make it exaggerated for now. The next thing I want to do is for all div elements and all before, I want to set position absolute, and for the cube I want, now for all div elements that are not empty, I want to set transform style preserve 3D. Okay, now something else I want to set here is top 50% and left 50%. Okay, now something else I want to do here is set a margin and a padding. And it's the same thing as setting the width and the height to that dimension. Okay, now I have this rotation. Now I also want a translation. So translate along the third axis, and this is half the edge length. Okay, now this is starting to look like something. Something else I want to do here is transform rotate X. Make this minus 30 degrees, and also rotate Y, make this 60 degrees. Okay, now for the last one, I want to set the rotation, rotate Y minus 90 degrees. And here I want to set before, and the margin is minus that dimension, padding that dimension, content nothing, and let's give it a background. Okay, now I'm starting to see something. Now let's collapse this thing right here. Let's collapse this for now as well. So a color list or a stop list, whatever you want to call it, make this gold and dark orange. So this should do it. Make this linear gradient, 50%, something like this. Stop list, sorry. That's what happens when you're not decided on what to call things. Okay, now the thing is that perspective is way too exaggerated. Let's make it something like this. Okay, this looks good. Now what I want to do here is also have an SVG, and let's have a path here. Let's set the view box 0, 0, 1, 1, Okay, and now for this path, actually let's make this a mixin. And the thing is, I'll be using here, this is a, I got this from another place on the internet, so it's just a pre-computed constant. I don't know what else to call it. So this is, and this should be precision enough. Okay, times a quarter, because I start from a quarter and a quarter. So basically I'm just taking a half by half area in the middle. So that's going to be what I cut around. So I start from, as I said, a quarter and a quarter, 0.25 and 0.25. Oh, and it's not that kind of quotes. Okay. Now the next thing, let's actually make these lines for now, and afterwards we'll see. So 0 and 0.5, and then I have a horizontal line of 0.5. Now I should start seeing something if I include this mixin. So include. Okay, I'm starting to see something. It's behind. Now let's okay, now I'm starting to see something. That's good. Now a final line. This goes the other way, minus 0.5. Okay, so I have a square, but the thing is, I don't want a square. I want to cut out arcs from the sides, and I emulate them with a cubic curve. So that's going to that point is going to stay because that's my end point. So I'll leave that as it is, and then I include that coordinate. C again, because it's relative. For the next one, it's the same offset horizontally, so it's the same C, and vertically it's 0.5 minus. So yeah. Now here again I have again a curve. Okay, and let's just copy this once more and paste it here before the final point. And this is going to be with minus here, and again I reverse the signs here. So and also here I go the other way, horizontally as well, and I've cut out circular arcs, so that's a quarter of a circle cut out. Now the thing is, I can multiply with a factor, and this is 1 by default, and multiply with that the horizontal coordinates of the control point. So if this one is -1, then it goes outwards. So these are also circular arcs, but they go out. Okay, so this is what I want there. Now I'll make this path a clipping path, so clip path. Okay, and this is going to get an ID, and it's also going to get clip path units, and this is object bounding box, and I'm not going to need this view box, so I can just remove it. Okay, now the thing is, here I'm going to set clip path, so this should do it, and I can remove this. Okay, and this looks perfect. Now I don't have that opacity either. So again, I can do this. Okay, so I can also have this as a background. No, actually, I'm not going to use that. No. Let's make this stop list 1, and make this stop list 2. So yeah, this does for all the faces except the lateral ones. So for the lateral ones, I'm going to have those slices. So slice. Now for this, I'm going to need a bit more. So what I do here is style, and the first thing is the number of slices, which I interpolate there, and the second thing I want is a tangent. So tangent, and again I interpolate this. So this is my tangent. Now something else I'm going to need to do, because I'm going to need to use the diagonal, and that's okay. I'm going to need compass here, so okay. What's wrong with you? Okay, seriously, what's wrong with you? Import, sorry, import, not include. Okay, this works. Now here I'm going to have a width that's equal to that dimension, and I'm also going to compute a height here. This is calc, and it's going to be that dimension over square root of 2, and it's going to get multiplied by 2 and times that tangent. Now the height is that height, and let's give stuff a background just so that we can see it. Okay, now we're starting to see stuff. That's good. Now let's start with a transfer. So first off, a translate along the z-axis, and it goes forward by half dimension, and then I have a rotation along the x-axis, and this is the j index over the number of slices times 90 degrees, and then also a translation, and this time is this is minus, sorry. It's going to go the other way. Minus. Okay. Now, one more thing, I need to set a margin here. And that's why it looks so awful. So calc minus half the height and minus half the width, which is that dimension. Okay, now I also need to subtract 45 degrees. So that's going to be this ratio minus 0.5. And I also need to here like this. Okay, now this is looking better. Now let's set the background to this as well. Okay, but the thing is, I need to make it bigger, so it's going to be in the middle horizontally, and this is going to be -1 times j over the number of slices, and then the size, the background size, it's going to be full size horizontally, and then it's going to be calc. No, what the heck am I doing? Times the height. So this is going to be the number of slices times the height. So I kept thinking about the transform, but okay. Now this is looking good. Thing is, I want to set this both on the slice itself. And one more thing I want to do here is scale Y so that it blends better. Yeah, it looks better this way. Okay. So the thing here that I want to do is use this both on the slice itself and on the before. So okay. So set this background like this. Now for the before, I want to cover its parent fully. Okay, top 0, right 0, bottom 0, left 0. So I wanted to cover everything fully. And here I'm going to have an angle. So this is calc. And I want to have, the thing is, let me show you something. Let's remove this for a bit. And I want to show you something. The darker part is at the bottom. Now here, if I change this to 120 and I see the other side, come on, change. This, the darker part is at the top. And I want them both to be on the same side, both at the bottom or both at the top. So the way I'll be doing this is by adding an angle here. So this is the index times 90 degrees. So now that I've done this, oh yeah, it's not going to work because when I'm using Compass, something really weird happens in the compile CSS. It adds a 2 in front. So the solution to this is just escape this from compass by using capital L there, and now it's going to work. So yeah, this is the thing. Now something else I'll be doing here. So by default here I have opacity 0, and I'm not going to see the before. And what I want here is have so change the angle based on a multiplier. So and this is 1 by default. Actually, let's make it 0 by default. Okay, this looks good. And I'll make this multiplier here, I make it 1. And if I remove this opacity, okay, it's going to be darker that way. And if I change this to 120, let's see the other end. And again, if I add this opacity and I see the slice underneath the before, again, that works. Okay, so this looks great so far. So what I need to do is make the whole thing breathe. Now, the way I'll be doing this is add a scale here. So scale, and this is a factor f, which I set to 1 right here. And I'll be changing later on. And I make this opacity so I can okay, now let's register this property. So CSS register property, and this is going to be my factor f. So name, and also syntax number, initial, make it 1, and also, because this is false otherwise, inherits true. Okay, now I'll have a keyframe animation. So keyframes, breathe, slice, okay, now let's create that animation. So animation, generic breathe, let's say half a second, ease in out, infinite, alternate. Okay, now let's use this animation on the slice. So animation, breathe, slice, and okay, we should start seeing something. Okay, now I've made those lateral parts breathe, but what about this front side? Now let's take care of that as well. Have another one. Sorry, it's raining, so that's the noise. So front, and this is going to be include, and this is why it would be really useful to be able to use custom properties within this string right here, because I'd simply change it from there, and one animation would do. I wouldn't have to have two animations. So animation, that's generic one, and animation name, breathe front. So I could do with just one animation. Okay. Now let's make things slightly more interesting by also animating the position of the cube, the rotation actually. So let's make this angle. Let's make this, as I said, make it 30 degrees, minus 30 degrees. Okay. Let's have a second one. Along the second axis, the y-axis, this is 60 degrees. Okay. And now here, let's collapse the whole face thing. Okay, and let's have keyframes, oscillation along the x-axis, and this is to let's say 15 degrees. I don't think it really matters that much. So this is along the y-axis, so let's change that. Make this 120 degrees. Why the heck did I X? Let's use 60 there. That's good. Okay, so now that I've done this, let's add the animation. So animation something, let's make a custom timing function. A bit more of an abrupt change, infinite and alternate. Okay, and now animation name, this is oscillation. And also animation duration, let's say so this should do it. And this should give me a nice animation, and I have my breathing cube and everything. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show you for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to put out more stuff in the future and not end up dying in a trash can anytime soon, please consider supporting my work. You can do it in one of the ways explained in the description below. With a donation, there's a donation link there, or you can make this kitty very happy by getting her something off her Amazon wishlist. There are two links there as well. Or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly it's pretty damn cool that you can do this kind of breathing cube and it's done with keyframe animations and CSS 3D transforms, and there's no canvas, no WebGL, no nothing. It's just CSS stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching.